Very good morning to all of you. Today, we are going to discuss how a security insider threat can be prevented using AI. So, in this topic, first I will talk about what is IT security insider threat, and then what are the traditional way we handle it, and how AI is improving the defense mechanism. Originally, this session was conducted for a offline class with a few of my participants, which I thought of on their request converting into a video and publish in the YouTube so that other people can also take knowledge out of it. So let's start today's session. I am sharing the screen and let's start today's session. So insider threat is something which we are all aware, and a simple example will make it more easy to understand. The first example is there was a Hollywood movie which is called Jurassic Park. And if you remember, in Jurassic Park, there was a character called Derek Nydry. What he did? He was a insider. He took out the dinosaur egg and sold it to outsider. Or if you go for another Hollywood movie, there was a movie called Harry Potter. And Draco Malfoy was playing an insider in that movie. So security insider threat is reality. And this is a cause of 73% of cyber attack. So no doubt, we need to be very careful and find out what we can do so that we can protect our organizations. So who is an insider? There is a difference between an employee who is an outsider or an agent who is an outsider or an agent who is an insider. Now, an insider have the privilege of knowing many secrets in the organization. They know the organization weak point, vulnerabilities, and they can very easily cause harm, steal information, and because they have advantage of knowing even in some case, the passwords or the firewall policies, they can tweak them as required for their own purpose. Now, the next point is the traditionally the method which we normally deploy to prevent any security risk, that means the security policies or security mechanism what we take, that normally do not work for insider at all. Because howsoever strong firewall you can put, howsoever strong mechanism you can put, all policy procedural can be bypassed by this person. Now, the human type of threat, there can be two kind of threat. One is pure outsider, one is pure insider. But the most dangerous part is when that insider will become a security threat is actually a matter of great guess. And there, if we fail in right time, that may cause a big threat in the long measure. So therefore, the countermeasures has to be in such a way that we can reduce the vulnerability. And as we know, for all security process, we can only attempt to make it safe, but we cannot keep 100% guaranteed for any kind of risk involved. But in this case, the risks are even higher. So traditional methods are all reactive or rule-based. So they lead to high false positive and they have inability to detect behavioral anomalies. So what is the definition of insider? There are generally two kinds of insider. One insider is called malignant insider. Another is malicious. So what is malignant? What is malicious? Malignant insider is actually a well-meaning people. They are not by default a wicked person to do harm for the company. But because they do not have lot of knowledge or they do not have lot of awareness, they do certain action which actually is harmful for the organization. Many a time, because of some accidental mistake also, they become a insider. But on the contrary, malicious insiders are real threat, because malicious insiders, they will ensure that whatever they can do harm for the organization. And we need to be very careful of the people who are of malicious insider and need to think of mechanism how that can be protected. So whether it is malicious or malignant, it is very critical for us to know that when an outsider is becoming insider, there are many case study where a planned outsider is imported in an organization to be a selective insider who work for the other company. In fact, we have such example in one nation and another nation case, which is normally called spy. But in case of IT security, the process is even simpler. It is possible for an outsider to send a phishing email, and that phishing email can carry some kind of malware which can give information of company information outside. So how a outsider become insider and what are the mechanism, let us see in great detail. Something which we know, which is called significant emotional event. Significant emotional event is at time it is generally called C. Some employee, because of some unusual situation like financial setback, being reprimanded at work, not getting promotion, going through divorce, they may be out of mind. And because they become out of mind, there is a possibility that he can cause harm because he can become a security threat in the long run. Also, we have been told a acronym called MICE. MICE is money, ideology, coercion, and ego. When somebody is come under influence of any one of them or all of them, he or she can turn out to be a malicious insider in no time. So what we need to worry about the insiders? So the first worry, what we need to do, that the well-meaning employees who are actually trusted employees since till yesterday, they can turn out to be a insider threat. They may not intentionally harm the enterprise. However, their inadvertent action may cause harm for the organization. So that is one area which we need to be very careful of. The second thing is, there are malicious employees who are intentionally cause harm given the opportunity. They do not think like most of us. They are very intelligent and they generally lack empathy. If they come across an opportunity to benefit, whether it is an expense of an enterprise or not, and if they calculate that this may get away, they can get away with it because the security system is not very strong, they will cause harm. Then there are contractors. Many of the contractors may have lot of enterprise data, and in some cases they have the access which is even more than the employees. Under that situation, these contractors become such a great threat that they can do harm to us at any point of time. Then there are vendors. We know many organizations depend some of the activity on vendor. In fact, the organizations which I deal, they believe in the vendors managing even the IT infrastructure setup also. Now these vendors having all access, they are sometimes vulnerable and they may cause problem. So we need to think what are the mitigation strategy we can think. So one mitigation strategy does not fit for all. And for the insider threat, one of the mitigation strategy which traditionally people take is lot of training, create security awareness session, because we all know that the malignant employees who are the insider who are causing harm, They are not evil meaning. So, by the method of creating security awareness or training, their knowledge of security posture can be improved, and then those kind of threats can be reduced. And then another mitigation, which normally is measured with a terminology called user initiated loss. User initiated loss is this is one of the biggest consideration. So strategically, we need to think this matrix in an organization and find out that how much user initiated loss can do harm to our organization for not getting prepared or not getting the proper security practice in place. So there are several processes or there are several methods by which this distinction can be made, and there are some of them are very traditionally done. One, we normally remove the insider from the critical process. So when I say remove the insider, if the insider is removed, his UIL definitely will come down because he cannot do harm. So what exactly we mean by the removing insider? We are not asking for physical removing. We are talking of re-engineering the process to remove the insider's manual work so that we can mitigate the loss. Because the more we are allowing him to do the manual work, there is a chance he or she can make mistakes. Also, even if he is a malicious insider, if the privilege access control is very strict, for him also breaking the system becomes difficult. The tighter is the control, the tighter is the privilege mechanism, the risks are less. Now, in many organizations where I have come across in recent past, many of the people have unlimited access. Like for instance, one person who has been transferred from one department to another, they carry the rights what they had in previous department to future department also, where there is at all or not at all required. So there has to be a well-managed mechanism. However, such activities can be stopped. Even the IT team also has to be audited to see what kind of privilege access management they have. A well-managed PIM-PAM system can definitely help in this manner. Also, there is a traditionally a human security engineering angle is there. So when we examine the relation between a human and potential harm, we should think of the materiality. We should not punish a person just because imagining that he may cause harm. The materiality may be less. We also need to think why our system has been designed in such a way that this kind of harm can be made. We also can be think what we can do so that this can mitigate the harm, the process can be made more stringent. Now, if it is inevitable, what kind of system we can design so that the failure can be minimized at any point of time. Also, we can create a user environment that mitigates the fault. There is a case study of phishing email and malware which was published in few weeks back in different journal. I am not going through that, but it is in short that phishing mail case study gives us an idea that very simply the people can be actually lured to do something and give away company information on the public domain. Particularly, what is more concerned, now people are using different AI, ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot. We need to think how the company information can be prevented from putting on those ChatGPT window, which can be also of great disaster in the organization. So what I can see, anticipating and mitigating the user initiated loss is a great method. And normally, most of us need to think in that language so that those mitigation loss can be mitigated at the very early stage. I talked about the tighter privilege control. And in addition to that, we need to think of a strong governance mechanism. The CISO or CIO have to have a meeting to find out what are the type of unnatural behavior which is observed into the transaction status of a particular employee. Like for instance, if we find an employee who normally works in the day shift, if he is logging at 3 o'clock regularly and downloading data, that's an alert should be generated. But this is very simple thing. I know that the mitigation strategies for insider threat is not so simple and lot of work needs to be done, but we need to start at some point. Fortunately for us, artificial intelligence is creating a very great defense strategy for that. Artificial intelligence can actually help us analyze a very large amount of data very quickly to identify the potential security threat and respond proactively. There is a automated defense mechanism inbuilt, and that can actually raise the cyber attacks for that. Predictive security measure. Using predictive analysis, AI anticipates future threat by recognizing pattern, helping us to develop preemptive defense strategies. In AI-based mitigation technique, some of the techniques which are actually gaining lot of ground, let me take a pen now so that I can explain easily. There is something called user behavior analytics. This detects anomalies in user behavior. We can also do the risk scoring. We can assign the dynamic risk level to the user. We can do some kind of predictive analytics using AI, which can forecast the potential threat. NLP can help us to monitor emails and chats, because emails and chats, if they're monitored, it will be easier for us to find out who is slowly becoming an insider threat. Adaptive access control or can be implemented so that the access control can be adjusted dynamically and the risk can be minimized. So whenever we are designing a process, we can design the in such a way that every data source, whether it is ERP, SAP, email, Active Directory, endpoint, HR system, that pass through this kind of UEBA, risk scoring, NLP or graph analytics AIML engine, come to the risk engine where we identify what is the risk score, low, medium, and high, and design an alert mechanism which can give alert either to the SOC center or to the or it can also block the access of the user wherever if the case may be so. So there are some use cases which came across in recent past and which are available in internet. So I'm not getting into detail, but AI has helped to prevent the data exfiltration detection. It has helped to prevent the privilege misuse, compromise account detection, resignation risk monitoring, operational technology industry threat, and shadow IT detection. So these case studies are available in internet. If one of you get in touch with me, I can give in more detail. Otherwise, in this presentation, I am not getting into detail, which shows that there are many industries who are already started using AI and preventing the insider threat cases. So there are some well-known solution, although I am not in business of providing this solution. I have no business case with them. But Microsoft Insider Risk, UEBA, Splunk UEBA, Gurukul, Exabeam, Siconiax, and DTX systems are well-known systems. Any one of them can provide us this kind of protection. And it has been seen that UEBA solution, whichever we use, they consider most effective. Almost 92% detection rate can be assured by that. What are the benefit of that? If we do the early detection, it will help us to reduce the false positive. It will help us real-time monitoring. It will help us automated response, improve security posture. And what are the challenges of using the AI? Of course, privacy concern is a major challenge. Data integration complexity is a challenge. Initial false positive is a challenge because people can lose hope with the system if initial false positive are very high. And governance requirement is a challenge because the normal business process owners who are supposed to monitor the data, they may not have the time to participate in those governance mechanisms, and it becomes a IT's baby, and that's also a disaster for recipe for disaster. So what we see in short, AI transform insider threat management from a reactive to the predictive and proactive. So what do we conclude? The insider threat is inevitable. It is impossible to stop malicious entities from existing in the organization. Technology is very critical to prevent, and direct and respond to the insider threat is required. Through human engineering or AI, anticipation of the user-initiated loss should be introduced so that they can be proactively mitigated. The application of human security engineering principle reduce the likelihood of users being in a position to initiate a loss. If we can proactively anticipate the inevitability, the countermeasures will actually be easier and that will help us to take care of the security losses. There are certain documents I have used for preparing this presentation. So there are some ISACA articles, there are some US Security Journal, and some of the photos I am taking from Microsoft PowerPoint. And this article is only for academic purpose. And professionals who are advised, say that advised to use the advice as per their own intelligence and also get advice from their own security consultant to do. But whatever you do, the insider threat is a reality and we must take action to stop, to take care of that situation. Thank you very much for attending this video.